Yes, it is true. The voice in your head is an alien, but don't be afraid. They've raised you from a child. Now, let's see how many levels above the voice in your head has put words within words for us to find. Today's word, in tourist. A tourist from within can applicate an interest. Not I, not the one who's raised you. They can applicate an interest. But let's learn a little bit. The differences of those two aliens. Word in tourist. A tourist from within, not the original I who has raised you, but somebody who's visiting the planet on safari. And so your I will share your eyeballs with that tourist so they can learn about our planet. They're a tourist from within, so you now see something with more of an interest. And what they're doing is looking from behind your eyeballs, giving you an interest in something. So you spend time looking at it, and they can get a better look at it. And so that they can spend a little bit more time on looking at it and gaining information on what's going around on your planet. In a song, on a TV show, maybe a plant you've seen your whole life, but the tourist from within, in tourist, will give you an interest towards looking at it. You may have seen it your whole life, but you look at it like, okay. I want to get the point across. It could be the aliens applicating that in tourist, that interest towards something, because they can applicate thought and emotion as a basic symbol to our brain. If you're asking yourself, who are these tourists? Well, they're different than the I alien who has raised you. They're tourists coming to see how the human lives on this planet, to see the different plant life, television shows, TV, music. Okay, now that we've established that there are words within words, with this word in tourist, how they can generate an interest in something, they can applicate that to your brain, I want to touch on the reality of I, the one who has raised you from a child, different than tourists, alien tourists coming around. A quick reference, a movie, truth is stranger than fiction. Look at the movie Stranger Than Fiction, where it's about a voice in his head. It's called Stranger Than Fiction because the truth is stranger than fiction. All right, I touch on this movie Stranger Than Fiction. I'm going to try to clear up some stuff from the last video, because there's a phrase, the truth is stranger than fiction. I touch on that movie because in that movie, he has a voice in his head, and the truth is everybody has a voice in their head. They have the awakening right about 30. So if you haven't had your awakening yet, ask people, have you heard about this thing with a voice in your head? And show them the Rainbow Connection Muppet song. Have you been half asleep? Have you heard the voices? I've heard them calling my name. Now, when I'm talking about the song Rainbow Connection, Kermit says, they put reverb on the song so it really muddies it up, but you really got to listen. There's a song by Paul McCartney called The World Tonight, where he says, in the first one of the lines, caught you playing, caught you praying to the voice inside you. It's touched on, but they want you to keep their secret. But it's a new day and age where this information is coming out, how they can applicate thought and emotion to our bodies. All right. It's real, and I talk about it. I take my abuse for talking about it. They want people to keep their secret, but we have to educate each other. It's how we're going to grow together as a planet. If you've ever seen a caterpillar bore through a leaf, if you understand what that means, then you understand what I mean when I say we're going to bore through these doors that are separating us, of bore doors, and actually become a planet instead of separated. Whenever you see in a word, you want to pay attention. They put the in invisible. They put the in invisible because that's how visible they are. We can't see them. They're not literally inside of us like the movie Dave, that Eddie Murphy movie. But they do try to puppet us similarly. But they put the in invisible. Okay. In invisible. Okay? the alien voice in your head. They've raised you from a child. Don't freak out. The aliens! Look, if they were trying to conquer this planet, they already control the humans around you. If you ask your parents, if you're a child watching this, have you heard this thing about people having voices? And look, they might feel weird about telling you because they're told to keep their secret. You know, the aliens say, keep our secret. People have their awakening when they're right about 30 years old. And people do keep their secret. It's almost like Santa Claus. You know, it didn't hurt you that you weren't told that Santa Claus wasn't real, that you weren't on the knowing, the in on understanding, but you come to find out later. So don't beat up anybody who hasn't talked about it. It's a thing that everybody has gone through. Something that everybody has gone through, and if you haven't had your awakening yet, you'll go through it. You'll have your awakening. It's what is. But with that said, in tourist, right? Aliens are coming and going, just like we go on safari. If you understand Ra, Re means God, and those who are worshipped as gods because of their abilities, okay? Re is a name for God in Egypt. Just like there's many names for God, Elohim, Adonai, in Hebrew. Okay, so there's many names for God in Egypt. With that said, Re is one of them. And when you go on Sur, they love for you to think of them as above. Sur, far, they're coming from far away. Re, and they put... Sometimes you'll look at something and you've seen it all your life, but there's something interesting about it. They're a tourist from within looking through your eyes. Bob Marley said, "I and I will see you through." He was talking about the eye behind his eye, the voice in his head, the aliens. I and I will see you through. He wasn't pointing his thumbs at himself saying him and him alone will see you through. He was saying that the I and I. Okay, now the Bob Marley song Jamming. About 35 seconds into the song, he says, I and I will see you through. The lyrics will sometimes reflect I and I, but it's an implied I in your eye. I just wanted to clarify that. I call them I in I. Now, I and I, they can help, and they want you to do for them to get. But what I recommend is knowing that Jah, God, is the one who will see you through. Love is the answer. God is love. So I'm not here to beat up on I and I. That's one of the names I call them. Little Big Brother Ra is another name I use for them. But there are tourists flying around, aliens flying around. And also, you're the original Airbnb. So they're also looking from behind your eyes, and they can make something a little more in tourist. Right? So hopefully I'm getting my point across here. I'm having to battle just to think and concentrate. I'm learning to push through the that fusion, known as confusion. They can applicate a confusion. They can put thought in your head, emotion. They can make you feel weird about something or make you feel happy. They can put emotion and thought in our head as a basic simple. Remember the song Rainbow Connection? Have you been half asleep? Have you heard the voices? I've heard them calling my name. Look, they raised this planet. They brought us up. This is the beginning. Today, this hopefully helps start the conversation. I've been gifted with understandings to help end war, poverty, and starvation. I was willing to die rather than to submit back in 2004. That got me accepted many levels above with understanding. I still take torture and abuse for talking about it, but this is a transition day out of the slave days. I've been gifted with the understandings to help end war, poverty, and starvation. When you're ready to make that tree mend us change, the trees will help mend us. Who's this crazy guy talking about aliens up in people's heads? I'm the honest one. God is my witness. Please subscribe. Send it to your friends. The word of the day in tourist. Tree mend us change we're going to make by keeping it simple, growing our food, especially in these day and age where everybody's worried, concerned about food. Worry isn't even real. We have fight or flight moments, and if they linger, they're undealt with. But everybody's holding concern towards, where's the food going to come from? Well, food is free. Just add water. We can grow trees. But that's not, tree mend us change. A simple little secondary word of the day. All right. Peace, love, and joy to you all. This is real. And it's just beginning. Here we go. I want to touch on something real quick. Look, your parents, if you're a child watching this, and ask your parents about it, because it's going to come out. So if you do, and they don't have a comfort talking about it, or you have to understand, same with the CIA and the government, they've been raised their whole life not to talk about it because they can applicate thought and emotion to us. It's this whole new thing. If they can make somebody happy or angry and affect their emotions, and we can't, and the government can't protect its people from that, it could throw people into a panic if they don't understand they've raised you from a child. You have to understand that, yeah, they've been doing things with you your whole life. There are some weird experiments that they're doing with the human, just like the things, we don't drill holes in every monkey's head, right? Just like they don't do dark experiments on every human. They're raising this planet. They're doing experiments just like we do experiments on animals, the level below. So they're doing experiments on us, but the reason that it hasn't been talked about is that the government, they can't protect you from them affecting your thoughts and emotions. And the government thinks that can throw this world into a panic. What you have to remember and understand is they've raised you from a child, even if you haven't had your awakening yet. All right, hold on to love. This is the new day, and we're going to move forward. Peace.